this other hat, which is he was the founder of a huge investment firm called Colony Capital.
And you uncovered a memo, right? This is what the story is based on. And what does the memo spell out?
Right. So this is a Colony memo dated February 2017, so right after Trump's sworn in, right after the inaugural. And what it is a plan for Colony to profit off its relationships with Donald Trump, the administration, on the one hand, and foreigners on the other hand. So they actually lay out in explicit terms that they want to establish a big Washington presence, although they say we don't want to have the appearance of lobbying. And they essentially say they're going to put themselves in the middle of meetings and events where both administration officials and foreigners are present, and they're somehow going to profit from this.
Here's a little bit of the story. Calendars obtained by the watchdog group American Oversight show Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin met at least 3 times with Colony executives in the 4 months following the inaugural. An April 14th meeting with Mnuchin in a private room at the Georgetown restaurant Fio Mare included the ambassadors of Oman, Kuwait, Jordan, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Also the dinner, Tom Barrack and Rick Gates.
Right.
What's Gates doing there?
Right. So Gates actually also helped run the inaugural. Rick Gates, who, of course, we now know has pleaded guilty, I believe, to lying and conspiracy charges. And then after the inaugural, Tom Barrack hired him as a consultant, I believe, at $20,000 a month to work for Colony in Washington. So then, as you said, we see them having meetings between. They're at meetings with a cabinet secretary and foreign officials, which sounds a lot like what's in this memo. Although I should say the company is saying this was just a plan. We never
pulled the trigger.
We never pulled the trigger, and a lot of this didn't happen.
But this meeting happened. A meeting with Tom Barrack, Rick Gates, the entire ambassadorships of the Middle East, and Steve Mnuchin.
Yeah, actually, a series of meetings happened between Colony executives and Steve Mnuchin. Those are just the ones we know about.
You know, when you go back to the Michael Cohen story, which has been lost a bit to memory, which was that all these companies were paying him these like weird off-book amounts of money, enormous sums of money. Korean airline company, right, that made planes, was paying him $500,000. All these other companies will. You start to get the sense of a little bit of a Wild West between and into the early parts of that administration, particularly in transition inauguration, where no one's got relationships with the Trump inner circle, and the people who do are open for business.
Yeah, and I also think now that we know that the inauguration is under criminal investigation, they got subpoenas this week, this sort of puts Tom Barrack, who is the chair of the inaugural committee, in a different light. I mean, it shows that at least one person at his company was thinking up ways to profit off their access, essentially at the same moment as the inaugural. It's been widely reported that one of the things that investigators are interested in is whether foreigners gave money and whether they wanted to essentially buy influence. And, you know, some of what's in that memo sort of sounds like that.
And there's already been one plea deal for an American who admitted to making a straw purchase for an inaugural event on behalf of a Ukrainian politician to the inaugural committee. So that's already been established as fact that at least one straw purchase happened.
Yeah, foreign money made its way into the inaugural. I mean, another thing that we've learned and we've written about is that money from this nonprofit inaugural ended up in Trump's pockets through payments to the Trump Hotel, over $1 million. It's something we're still looking at. But they're actually, I mean, the overall question about where the money went, I mean, that really has not been answered.
Yeah, there was the New York Times got its hand on some ledger that putatively accounted for every dollar, but did it?
You know, that was a good story, and it did show there was a lot of crazy spending that I would put just sort of in the category of waste. You know,
right? Not like graft, but just ridiculous waste.
Right, but they didn't lay out, you know, where the entire $100+ million went, and there has been no public accounting of that yet. And look, we know from the subpoena this week that prosecutors asked for materials about all the money that went in and out, essentially.
Final question: inaugural committees are very loosely and lightly regulated, but there are some hard red lines, like you can't take foreign money, for instance, right?
You can't take foreign money, and actually there's IRS rules about self-dealing. So some of the money, for example, that went to the hotel, there's laws around that.
Fascinating. Justin Elliott, great reporting, and thanks for coming by.